Hey guys, it's your girl Jade, and I'm here with my first video. I'm sorry that I look crazy right now. I literally been trying to find the right time, the perfect spot to start recording and get my YouTube channel started, but obviously right now I just can't. So I am going to be just recording just so I can get started in any which way I can. So yeah, I'm like raw and uncut right now. So I just wanted to start off my first video with introducing you guys to who I am, and also I thought it would have been great to, you know, not go too far back but start off with my birthing experience, because I find that a lot of people liked that to be one of my, like, in my first video. So yeah, I'm gonna strictly get started on that. So I'm Brianna Jade. I go by Jade. I'm 23 years old. I'm from Queens, New York, and I am a mom to a handsome little boy. His name is Jaden. He is literally everything to me. His father and I, literally, we were dating on and off for years. In college is actually my senior year is when I actually got pregnant. Yeah, so to get started into that, I got pregnant last year in February, so 2017 February, and I didn't find out until late March. I just noticed that, like, I wasn't getting my period, and normally for me I have a regular cycle, so it was kind of like funny how I wasn't getting my period and stuff. So I had taken a test one time, and like it didn't show up, like it was so faint, so I didn't realize. This was like early March. Then I remember I had called like my older sister, and like we were on the phone talking, and I've been like telling her like, oh, you know, I didn't get my period and stuff like that, and she was just like, you need to go take a test. So I bought another pack, and I ended up taking that test, and when I looked, it said I was pregnant. I ended up taking 3 pregnancy tests because I literally wasn't too sure. I also went to the clinic the next day to talk to see if I really was pregnant, and yeah, I found out. And when I was like, that same day, not that I didn't know what I wanted to do, I was just very indecisive. And obviously, you know, I'm young. I was 21 at the time. I really didn't know if keeping a baby right now in my life was the perfect thing to do. So I literally had not the worst pregnancy, but due to stress, I want to say I had a high-risk pregnancy. In the beginning of my pregnancy, I couldn't work anymore. Like early on, I had to like stop working around May. It was horrible for me, not working, not being able to, you know, start saving up money for my child. But, you know, I had to do what I had to do. It was doctor's orders. So it was more so difficult because I didn't have that support system from my child's father. I'm not trying to bash him or anything. It's just more so like my family did everything for me, and like I thank them for that. Like I would never ever let a day go by without me saying I thank them for helping me and guiding me through my pregnancy. It was literally the hardest 9.5 months, like I can honestly tell you. And I say 9.5 because I believe you're normally technically pregnant for 10 months. But yeah, people say 9 months, but you're technically pregnant for 10 months. But yeah, to get beside, like, off that, in the beginning, Jaden's dad was excited, but he, over time, got like way too ahead of himself, and his pride started to kick in, and he felt as if that, like, during when a woman's pregnant, he doesn't have to be there. And it did hurt for some time, but throughout my pregnancy, I never tried to dwell on the negativity because I'm growing a life inside of me, and if I'm stressed, my child is going to be stressed. And along with a high risk pregnancy, I didn't want to add any more complications to that. So yeah, I literally had to tell myself and to brace myself throughout my whole pregnancy, teaching myself all these mechanisms on how to just keep my mental health in a good state. My head was all over the place. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I literally didn't know if I wanted to keep my child until I was about 6 months pregnant. And I realized at that time it was like way too late to even want to do anything about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had no choice but to keep the baby. And at that time, it felt good to know that I was having a baby to, sorry, what are the words I'm trying to look for? It felt good to know that I was having a child, and that child would help me through life, help me get through. Because I literally, growing up, I felt alone. Nobody's gonna really, my friends would never really sit here and tell you that, I was that type of depressed girl sitting around, with a sad face all the time. But no, there were times in my life where I did feel alone. I felt like I did certain things cry for help and stuff like that. But having my son literally changed my life. It was a breathtaking experience. So to move forward, I want to say literally giving birth, that day that I had to go in was a very intense day. From the week before I gave birth, my doctor had told me that I needed to get ready and prepare myself to go in. So the Wednesday, which was November 8th, I went to the doctor, and that was my last GYN visit. So I remember we took the last heartbeat, hearing the heartbeat and everything right before I went in that following Saturday. And he told me that, I have to be induced. So with that is, they basically give you penicillin, I want to say. It's either Pitocin or penicillin. I'm sorry. I really just can't really remember. But they put that drug inside you from an IV, and it starts your labor. And then throughout the time when you start to dilate at a certain amount, either your water breaks normally, or they have to break your water. My water got broken, but yeah, I had to get induced. Reason being, when I want to say the last week of October, my Jaden literally sat on a nerve, and it caused me to have Bell's palsy. Bell's palsy is when you temporarily, or it could be permanently, paralyzed in one side of your face or both sides. I had it on my left side, so literally my eyes could not, I couldn't blink, I couldn't eat, I couldn't smile. Literally, my side of my face was literally inflamed. So that was pretty difficult to deal with. So that's why I had to be induced. It was very scary, to be quite honest, because he was leaning on the nerve. And at one point during my labor, I was in labor for about 10 hours. He did not move. Jaden literally stayed at 3 centimeters for hours. I want to say the last 2 hours, Jaden moved down to 6 centimeters. And as time was going by, I kind of he wasn't moving, so they were telling me that I was gonna have to get a C-section, and I literally started crying. I know that there has to be a way for the baby to come out, but I literally was crying. I didn't want a C-section. I didn't like that feeling. The thought of being cut open, like I don't know, like it just, I didn't want it to happen. So I prayed to God literally in the hospital, and it, like, God had to have answered me, because literally, I want to say half an hour to an hour later, Jaden was down like 10 centimeters. I was ready to go. And yeah, I pushed and he came out. What I want to say is, though, before I get to the end of the experience that I had on giving birth, it's my first video, I'm sorry guys, but yeah, the contractions, I want to get to that. I did not really feel my contractions. I want to say, like, I had them. My mom was in the room with me majority of the time, and she kept on looking on the monitor, and she would keep on telling me, like, oh, you're about to have a contraction, you're about to have a contraction, but like I never really felt them. So that was like a good thing throughout the time. But I know that towards the end, like, the pain was going to get intense, so I did ask to get an epidural. So and I was already in pain from everything else, so I was just like, to not be in more pain, let me just get it. With the epidural, though, like, for, you know, some women out there who don't know, you do have to sign a consent form. The consent form gives you all the information. The doctor even talks to you about what's going to go on. I believe it's the anesthesiologist, and he tells you what can happen to you after having an epidural, complications that can happen to you during having an epidural. Like, it's literally the whole nine. So women, when you are giving birth, please take the initiative to read and understand your consent form before you sign it, because as much as, you know, a lot of women quick to want to get the epidural, as much as I didn't want to, I just did. It can really mess you back up. But yeah. So to the end of this now, when I pushed Jaden out, like, that, I want to tell you, like, I really did not feel him come out. Like, it was so crazy. Like, my nurse had came in and she had told me, like, okay, you're ready to go, like, don't push. And she told me not to push because my doctor wasn't in the room, my GYN. And I literally had to, like, Kegel. Those of you who don't know what Kegeling is, it's like your quinta, like, your muscle, your vagina muscle. So I had to literally hold my son's head with my vagina muscle, and that shit hurt like hell, because if I sighed, he would have shot out like a cannonball. So my GYN had to, like, rush into the room, suit up, and, like, get ready to, you know, get this baby out of me. Literally, when he suited up and he looked at me, he said, push. All I did was sighed, and my son came the fuck out. Like, he shot out. And it was hard at the end because I felt like I was passing out. Like, I seen him, I held him, I looked at him, and I kissed him. But towards the end, they took him away from me because I tore, and I had a 3rd-degree laceration, which means I tore from the ruta to the tip of my tuta, which is like, I tore from my vagina to the very top of the anus. I didn't, like, rip my anus, which was a good thing. I just tore from that part. So I had to get stitches, and oh my god, when I freaking tell you, I got stitches with no drugs. I felt every last pain. Like, I felt when the needle went in, and I felt the thread going through my, it was, I'm sorry, like, graphic, but I felt that shit, and I literally wanted to die. Like, I was cursing, I was screaming, I was literally, like, cursing at my doctor and my GYN, and he had to, like, continue to apologize to me because he's like, if I don't sew you up now, you're gonna hemorrhage, and I was gonna just bleed out, and I didn't want that to happen. And it was just like, I don't know, that pain was excruciating. Like, I don't wish that even on my enemy. Like, it hurt like hell. So after he stitched me up, I received the drugs, like, it's called Stadol. And I was really loopy. Like, I cursed out the nurse because, like, they brought in this wheelchair, and the wheelchair looked so hard, and I'm like, I'm supposed to sit on that with my baby. Like, I just got stitches down there. Like, what are y'all trying to do to me? Like, my mom told me that, like, I was really being rude and, like, cursing at the nurses. But I mean, like, I was drugged up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit happens. But yeah, like, my birthing experience wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. That day, just seeing my son was literally everything. Like, everything. He was the whitest, longest, cutest little baby I've ever seen. He looks exactly like me, the boy version of me. I believe he has both of his parents' personalities. I would just like to say, like, he's gonna be, like, tall like his dad for sure. He has his dad's ears. Yeah, he's gonna be like his dad's height and everything. His dad's pretty tall. I believe his dad's like 6'9". But Jaden has been, like, the best thing ever brought into my life. And this just goes to say that for, you know, women out there that, or I wouldn't even say, well, yeah, women out there, or people out there, to speak in general, who consistently and constantly say or bash young women as parents, I want to say that just because we're young, it doesn't mean that we asked to get pregnant. It's not like we're sitting there saying, please, sir, get me pregnant. You know what I'm saying? We didn't ask to do this. And I feel like I got a lot of backlash when I got pregnant, to be quite honest. A lot of people came up to me and was just like, you're too young. You shouldn't do that to, you know, you shouldn't ruin your career by having a baby. But I'm going to sit here and be honest with y'all. Yes, and in the beginning, I didn't know what I wanted to do, having, like, with keeping my kid or not. But deep down inside, I really always wanted to be a mom, you know? And not that I wanted it to ever be too young, nor did I ever wanted it to be too old either. I never thought that I would ever have a kid at 22, but I didn't want to have a kid at 32, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've always wanted to have kids in my 20s. Yes, it started a little earlier and before I even started a career, but I'm very happy with the decision I made. Jaden has brought so much life into, like, into my life. He's amazing. I've done everything literally on my own. Like I said, I'm not here to bash his dad or anything. I'm actually a very humble person. I can't sit here and force somebody to do something that they don't want to do, you know? At the end of the day, I'm here. I did it. I'm strong. Like, it's tough. Don't get me wrong. It's really, really, really tough at times to try to raise a young black man on your own. But hey, like, my mom was a single parent. She raised 3 girls on her own, and she raised us very beautifully, I believe. That's how I feel. My son, he's getting raised by all women, and I don't see anything wrong in that. He's good. You know, he never has to literally worry about anything. If anyone's really worrying, it's me. But yeah, to let y'all know too, your life literally does end after you have a kid. Like, if you don't have the child care, if you want to party and all that stuff, it's not saying that your life ends. It's just that you cannot do the certain amount of things that you used to do before you had a child. Like, you're a real life adult. Adulting happens, you know? And for me, I felt like adulting slapped me in the face. I got it both ways. I got it by graduating the same year I got pregnant. So, I actually walked across the stage. I believe I was like 3.5 months pregnant. But yeah, it's difficult because it's like, as much you're in the stage where you used to be starting something like a career, but you can't really start your career because you're starting a new chapter in life with a child. So I'm not, and it is kind of difficult to get back into the hang of things, but as time goes on, you will get back into it. Like, I'm starting to get back into school, and I'm gonna go start working full-time. But yeah, it's a beautiful experience. I believe that my birthing experience was a good experience for me. It was a lesson learned. I won't be having any kids anytime soon. I do take my birth control. I play very strongly about that. So yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. Like, yeah, bringing him home was pretty good, but I'll definitely talk about that in my next video. I don't want to like keep this video way too long, but yes, bringing him home was an amazing thing for him. For me, it really wasn't, but I'll talk about that in my next video, guys, so stay tuned. Bye.